Hello and welcome back to another episode of Wrong Ones Podcast. I'm Dinesh Saki, joined by Punk. Hey Punk.
Hey, hi Dinesh, how are you? Yeah,
Punk, can you
yeah, I can hear you. I
hear
think
me?
so. Slight network issues, but that's fine. Uh, so
Hello?
yeah, I can hear you. Go on.
Apologies. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah,
Every time I go on my podcast live, my internet network seems to drop. All day was absolutely fine. But anyway, big game, right, in the IPL.
yeah,
Before
yeah,
we start off
absolutely.
in terms of the analysis, let me ask you a question. What were you doing when you were 14 years old? Did
I
you have
was in,
any idea what you want to do in your career when you're 14 years old?
I was in class 8, I guess. Class 7, class 8. Man, it was
So I'm in
hardly.
class 8,
Don't, I
and
was
if
class
memory
7,
serves
yeah,
me well, after all these years,
8. Yeah, man, to
yeah,
have that skill at that
I know
age, right,
exactly
is
what I was
great.
doing when I was 14 and what's going on with my life when I was 14.
Yeah, yeah, man, crazy, right? To have that skill.
Getting punished every
Uh,
day for obviously one
yeah.
not showing up to school, two, for obviously no obvious reasons that I can't disclose in public anymore. But then this kid, Raghuvanshi or Suryavanshi, whatever, Vaibhav Suryavanshi, let me get this right because
Yes.
Raghuvanshi plays for another team. He
Yes.
made his debut in IPL
Yeah.
and then sort of played the likes of Avesh Khan, Thakur, and I mean, what more do you need?
Yeah.
Even if
And like,
we
yeah. So
don't get any
like,
money for this, but to be able to make a debut at 14 and play at the level he's playing, I think that's massive for like anyone. I don't think it can get any better. I mean, we all spoke about
yeah,
Sachin making his debut at 16, and then at 18 whatever
yeah.
he took Pakistan and obviously playing those seamers. But now this like 14 and he's facing off Jofra Archer in the nets every day.
Yeah, I mean, like, with Sachin as well, right? He played for international cricket like Sachin, but if you see his debut in Ranji, yeah, like it was quite young that way, right? He was already
It was 15 something. Hmm. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, like he was already like around when he was 11 or 12, he was already a sensation for the like when he was 12 or something. They were like
Hmm.
going on talking about like Sachin, right? But now for India to play at that level is very difficult because Mumbai did had that initial with Sunil Gavaskar and that influence, when he was there, right? There was a lot of
Yeah.
influence from the Mumbai, and you didn't have players from like the east side at all comparatively, right? Because he made his debut when he was 15 years round about. That's the debut he made for Ranji, basically. Sachin,
Yeah.
this guy is like, and IPL gives you an opportunity. It's still, and what an opportunity, and like, it's not like there was a bidding. Just there were other teams who were bidding for him as well. It was not just uh, RR, right? So they would
RR.
have seen some spark of,
Hmm.
like in wherever he has played, they've seen him. And what a debut, man! First ball six, extra cover, long on six,
Hmm.
long off. That was some
Yeah.
class, man. And
Over
this was
extra
not like a
coverage.
normal, over extra cover. It was not like a like an easy shot. That is one of the most difficult shots to hit on the off. To generate that power, right?
Hmm.
Because generally you see long on, and that's the easier way to hit six, right? Because your swing comes, a natural swing comes towards your leg side.
Hmm.
But to hit that power, to generate that power, right? It's crazy. And this was like close to 70 meters plus, right? It was not a small boundary as well, right? It went in middle of the stands. So, and then like, he was fearless. And it's not only that he hit Shardul, then Avesh Khan as well. He hit the next ball when first ball of Avesh Khan he faced and he hits him for a sec. He was like, a very good stumping from Pant, or that guy would have, like, he was just going on, like, just, and it was not like he was slogging. You see the shots which he targeted, right? They were like, even if it went for four, there was no fielders around. You see, that is the best part of whatever little bit we saw, right? It was like, if it's trying to hit the ball, over the fielders, it was more on targeted areas where there were no fielders around, right? So that gives it, he's got a sense. And like, felt bad for him, right? He scored like 30 odd runs, 34 of 20, and then when he was walking back, he was crying. That shows that it was a brilliant innings, actually.
Yeah, I was about to bring up that point as well. Like,
He was
when
that
he hit
baby
the
face
six,
thing.
he looked like this matured 14-year-old, and the minute he goes out and
Yeah,
he breaks
he
down.
starts
I'm like,
crying.
that's the kid. That's a kid, like, crying because he had this opportunity. But yeah, and yeah, he
Yeah,
got out.
yeah. If you remember in gully cricket, right? Okay, match is done. Let me take my bat and ball and go away, or
Yes,
bat
absolutely,
again.
yes. When you're a kid
That
and
was
if
the
he
feeling,
holds the bat, then the minute you get out, you get upset and walk away.
But
Absolutely, yeah. But
he's a
I'm sure, like,
talented guy.
he'll learn from this and he'll come out.
The good thing is,
Yeah, no,
first, like,
absolutely.
he's under Rahul Dravid, right? So technically he'll get sound. So you will see him somewhere developing in the test matches in the near future. He's got a lot of time, and if he plays like Dhoni, then he can play. He can have a 30 years career in IPL. Just imagine till the age of 45, right? If he keeps fit, and he's like,
I know.
for
I
his
mean, you never
age.
know, right? Nowadays, like, these
Yeah.
kids. Mhm.
The only thing is, at this age, right, if the passion for cricket continues, right, the only challenge is, like, when the money pours in, right, how good they keep him grounded, right? And he works on his fitness and all that,
Yes.
right? Then he's just 14, right? So another 4 years for him to grow, your bone density and all that, right? So that he'll get stronger and stronger. If you see, when Jaiswal debuted, right, in the 60s, 70s, he was quite lean and all that, but now you can see the muscles coming out, like, at
Yeah.
21.
Build
That
some
helps.
muscle. Yeah.
Yeah, build muscles, and the power hitting comes more and more, right? So even like, some of the like, low touch batches, right, which is just this thing, you can muscle it out, and this age, if he gets, and the best thing is, like, now he does not have to pay for camp training and all that, right? He's got into one of the best camps, right? We'll talk about RR in terms of what they've done, the strategy and all that, but for him to be in RR camp is the best, because they actually give you a lot of opportunity for young cricketers to play. They debut a lot of young cricketers, like, and if you see Sanju Samson, a lot of them, Jaiswal, all of these guys have come from that academy, right? From the RR academy, Rian Parag, and over time they have matured, right? By the time they come to 2021, he's 14, right? In the next 2 3 years, 17 18, he will be really good, and the thing is, he's really well built. He's not like a thin, he's, in terms of his height and all that, right? He's got that, like, he would be able to tonk balls later on, you know even the good ones, right? So I have a feeling, like, with Rahul Dravid as his coach, right, and if Rahul stays for another 2 3 years, he'll get technically very sound, right? And the good thing about Rahul is, like, even suppose he leaves the coaching maybe next, I'm just giving an idea, right? If they don't perform that well, RR and all that, right? And with all the background noises going on in the, with the team management and the owners, with Rian Parag and Sanju Samson, all that, like, whatever, maybe the noise around, even if Rahul leaves, the good thing is, like, he knows now Suryavanshi, right? And that approach, they will try to get him. He can always, like, and Rahul is one of the best coaches you can have, especially for batting, right? Just one instant, like, just for everybody to know how good he was. So there was this, Kevin Peterson, everybody knows about, right? He used to struggle about playing spin bowling, right? Then he approached Rahul, and Rahul gave him a guidance that, you start, uh, take off your pads and then you play, you know, and that is how you like so that you start hitting the balls rather than playing your bat pad and all that and pad batting. And he's credited, it's a long I think so on some video or as well as on Twitter as well, he's written about how Rahul helped him to play spin. So just to give how good a coach Rahul can be, for these youngsters. So really happy for him, right camp. And as luck would have, Sanju got injured. He got an opportunity, and he just showed how. And I think so he will get more opportunities now, because they need that that firepower somewhere. And this helps with Jaiswal as well. So Jaiswal can take a back seat, play the few balls, right, and then and Sanju is definitely not going to play anymore now. So whatever 6, 7, 8 innings we have, we will definitely have a very good opportunity for this guy to see in the next round. I'm cheering for him. I just want him to do well. It's good for India. And what happens is, somebody debuting at 14, right? This gives a lot of opportunity for other kids as well, right? And he comes from one of the poorest part of the country, right? The Bihar and all that, right? So that also helps a lot, right? So with Dhoni and all these guys, you see what Dhoni has done to that area of India, right? You getting like Ishan Kishan, Saurav Tiwari, then now this guy. There will be lot of people from that area, coming up, and with Parag
Robin
playing.
Mans. Yeah.
Yes, Robin Mans. All once we want to see them, I hope they get an opportunity to play in some of the matches. Then once we have this guy Parag, right? He's done like from Guwahati, right? So that helps as well, from especially from the northeast side, for people to pick up that sport. You will find more kids, taking this up. So good overall for everything. And then let's summarize in terms of this how they batted and what went wrong. So what I'm very impressed with this guy.
Yeah. So before we go into the details, there's a question from one of the viewers, right? What makes a young batsman fearless even if his career is just starting? I mean,
So,
I'm guessing
I'll
I'll let you
tell
answer
you.
this, but my take on this
Yeah.
is,
I'll
Yeah,
give
go
you
on.
an option. This thing. So let's take CSK team. Yeah, Rahul Tripathi, Deepak Hooda, Vijay Shankar. They are at the tag end of their careers, right? So they need to perform a bit because of the experience, and if they play a little bit of rash shots or something like that, then you get more scrutinized because you got that experience and other things. The other chances is that you will have less chances now to get an opportunity to come back. You can't go back to Ranji or play those leagues to get an opportunity. But when you are like say 14 to 20, right, you can develop yourself. So when you get an opportunity, you go fearless. You don't have any that that opportunity will come, right? And the other thing is the burden of the money as well, right? You are not like the price 23 crores, right, that you're taking a burden of your team, right, that and like the other thing is, which when you look at Dhoni, and when they talk about like post presentation or any captains, right, they give roles and responsibilities to different team members in the batting or in the bowling and all that, right? For youngsters, there's just like you go out, express yourselves. That's what they tell. They don't say that you have to do this, you have to be the man of the match, the entire team is lying on your head. So that burden, the extra burden, is not there on the youngsters. Okay? So when they go, they know that I've got the freedom from the captain. I can go and express myself, compared to a much more experienced batsman, right? So that gives you a bit of a hinders you. And then again, if you fail as an experienced batsman when you're in the fag end of your career, right? Now, for example, I can guarantee you that Rahul Tripathi, Deepak Hooda, they will not be picked up in the auction anymore. You see, once they, like, if CSK releases them, yeah. And I'm talking about some other players also, like we can scrutinize them, but I'm just giving CSK because they've performed so badly, right? So both of them get released from CSK camp. That's the end of their career in IPL. So this is the thing. But say for Suryavanshi and for these guys, right? They hit 1/6. It's awesome for them, right? Now we know that he's got the capacity and all that, right? And he's 14, and even if he was 18 or something, like Ayush Matre, right, or Sheikh Rashid, all these guys, they play openly. You've seen how freely they play. Even if they fail, the captain won't, because the captain has already banked on the senior players to cover off that failure. If you look in the batting lineup, you won't find all youngsters playing together, right? So they the way the team they have built it, right? If a youngster comes in, they have like a Jaiswal, then you have a Parag who can actually stake in. You have the other guys, Hetmeyer and all these guys. So he's your lottery, right? That you can bank on, and if it clicks, you win the match. Even if it does not click, you have an opportunity for others to cover. But let's say a Jaiswal fails when you have 2 or 3 youngsters, right? Then you'll have a challenge, right? So just to give you, this is my view, why an youngster, when he gets an opportunity, right, they express themselves, because there's no burden of for them to win the match. It's just they go and express themselves.
Absolutely. I think you sort of summed it up, right? I don't have much to add, but yeah, I think it gives them the freedom and not to worry about the point you made. If I've had a couple of failures, would I ever get an opportunity? I think he does. He can always go back to Ranji cricket, play,
And
score some runs and always come back.
there was an interview, just to add to this, a very interesting interview of Saurav Ganguly. Yeah. So when when Dhoni came in team, and they talked about just recently, champions with breakfast with Gaurav Kapoor and Saurav Ganguly, right? There was this conversation, right? And just to add what Saurav told about, right, and why he promoted Dhoni to bat at 3 against that Pakistan match. He told that players, right, if you want to make players, you have to give an opportunity for them to bat up the order, right? And when Dhoni went into that match with Pakistan, right, and also that Sri Lanka match where he scored 183. Let's talk about that Pakistan match, the 5th match where he scored 145. Yeah, Dhoni went there as a youngster. There was no burden, you see, and you could see how freely he batted, right? He was just stonking even the best spinners, and then now you see when he became a captain, and then you see how he played with spin, and how conservative he had become when he had become a captain, with the burden and with the experience 4, 5, 6 years later, right? So this, because now you're an experience, this thing, right? You tend to become much more conservative, right? You can't go on batting at the same level when somebody else is your captain. The burden is on the captain to take the team forward. You are there just to you have given, the captain is given, you go and bang around, just go and smash as much as possible. We have players to back you, right? So even if you falter, they are good experienced players who can take the game forward, right? So just to give you that example from one of the greatest captain, Saurav Ganguly, what he told about, and why youngsters, when they get an opportunity, it also has to be from the captain side as well, to give them the freedom to go and express themselves.
Absolutely right. That's obviously good on Surivanshi and obviously what he can do for RR. But shifting focus back to RR, right? Where do they go from here? I mean, they lost another game just by 2 runs. I don't really see a way back for them. Obviously when Samson was fit and back in the squad, we were hoping this is probably the experience they need. Obviously with their struggles in the first 3 games under Rian Parag's leadership, but then unfortunately now Samson got injured, and things are not getting any better. So is it fair to say this is more of a write-off for Rajasthan Royals this season, given their struggles? Nothing's coming together, be it with the bat or the ball, and then the fielding's equally poor as well.
Yeah, the thing is, they're on the same page with CSK, right? CSK has got much more scrutiny because the batsmen are not performing at all, right? But with RR, with that batting lineup, and it's not that they're not, it's just that them, this is like the curse of some of the teams, like the Delhi Capitals, if you remember, or Punjab. They had this curse of not closing out games. uh, and more often not, right, if you can't close these games, right, you will most likely won't qualify. The other thing is also something with RR. I know we talk about they bringing youngsters and grooming them, and but the way the auction is and way the IPL is built, right, you can bring in 1 or 2 youngsters to play, but you need really good experienced people within your team to close out games, right? And that's why more often you will see CSK and Mumbai closing out games, because they have the experience, players, right? Who can actually handle those pressures, understand and take the game deep to complete, close out the games, right? This is something with RRR. If you see, only the first season they won, okay, which was definitely with it was the first season, so the game was very new, and then you had the great Shane Warne as the captain. Apart from that, it's been like 16, 17 years, right? And the reason why they're not doing is RR has become like, getting young players, they develop them, and then in the auction, this, those young players just go out and they get, some other team pick them up. Yeah. And that experience, which, as a grooming thing. So RR also has to change the strategy, right? It's good what they're doing, grooming these youngsters, but you have to make sure that you have a balance of those youngsters with experienced players, right? Or you will lose more games than when, you might win some really good ones when, they fire off, but it'll be like, a 70-30 chances of losing a lot of games. So that's something, they need to strategize how they're going to balance the team. The other thing is, y- y- you know this was more of like a bit of a big mistake from Jaiswal and Rian Parag. You can't, if there is like, if you take the game to the last over, right? Even if it's 3 or 4 runs, right? The game becomes 50-50, right? There's pressure on both sides, right? Until unless you're a Dhoni, who actually tells, right, that the pressure is more on the bowlers, right? So that is something which they need to understand. You have to close the game out and not let it drift to, the 19th or the 20th over. If there's an opportunity, you take the risk, 3 or 4, and they had like a lot of wickets in hand, and then not closing the game was, a bit of a, like, that's those silly mistakes, right? That's the only thing I can talk about, right? There's nothing much you can explain why, they didn't go for it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's why I didn't really mention too much about LSG. I think for me, this game is more about RR losing it than LSG winning it, because at no point
Yeah.
in the second innings LSG ever had a chance. It's just RR panicked and then they sort of gave away. So, hopefully
And
they'll bounce back. And with obviously Suryavanshi in the mix now,
they got a very good
there
85,
is actually
in
some,
the 8 overs.
what is that? Mhm.
Yeah. And like,
Yeah,
yeah, like it did this, it was one of like, 20, 30 runs in 24 balls, man. And from there you lose, you won 156 for 3 in 17 overs or something like that. And 24 runs in, uh, you know, 18 balls, right? It's one of the easiest games to win. You
yeah,
had like loads of wickets, right? Uh, yeah, don't know what went wrong,
absolutely. Yeah, no,
Yeah. But yeah,
yeah,
hats off to
yeah.
the other
Like I
guy,
was saying, like, hopefully they bounce
Avesh
back.
Khan,
And
right?
even though they can't qualify in the top four,
Yeah. But now they,
yeah,
they
he
know
bowled
now,
some brilliant
they will
spells
have a
at
good
the
team.
death, right? And
Yeah.
obviously credit to him and
Yeah.
LSG.
Yeah. They now the only challenge again, like,
Understood. Yeah.
yeah, just to add, right? RR also has that. If you look the squad, right, they've got the
Mhm.
auction horribly wrong. They've got the auction really horribly wrong. I think so. They will have to release a lot of players. The entire squad, 70% of the squad is all bowlers. They don't have really good all rounders, right? And calling Hasranga all rounder is, you're loading your team with lot of bowlers who, like
Mhm.
an archer. You can't call him, like he won't hit you, right? Hasranka, if you think him has he might give 1 or 2 sixes here and there, but if you ask him to like give a 50 runs of some 25 balls, he's not your all-rounder, right? So something,
Yeah.
Ara has to see, what type of, because the entire squad is like, just only 2 or 3 all-rounders, right? So they're struggling with that as well, right? So their squad has gone. I think so you will see a lot of players getting released next year. And I don't see RR qualifying. That's definitely 8 of 2, right? You have to win the remaining games, all of it, which is near to impossible to even qualify. So CSK, RR are both eliminated as of now. Tomorrow's game will like, when we have the CSK game coming up, right? I think so. It's on Friday, the next Friday, right? Where you have CSK and SRH. So if CSK win, then SRH also is eliminated. You see? So that's it.
Yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, on that note, as always, Punk, really appreciate your insights. For our viewers, subscribers, like we always say, share any feedback, any inputs are always welcome. And let Punk do the honors on behalf of Amar.
Yeah, don't forget to hit the
Please
bell
hit
icon.
the bell icon.
Yes.
Thank you, Punk.
See you
We'll
guys.
connect for the
Bye.
next game again. Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Bye.
Bye.